There we go. See, the only problem is when it goes lower. But no, that's... Whew. Huh. That's getting pretty close to what I want. And then put it back up, and it captures it immediately. That's what I'm talking about. My second attempt at this video, because I watched like 4 minutes of the other one after I uploaded it, and I didn't like it. You'd think like, oh, you edited the video and you would like it, but I didn't. So this is my second attempt at this, but it's a thing I think is worth talking about. So, I bought a new camera. I've used quite a few different cameras since I started. I started with a GoPro. That was kind of my first couple of videos. After that, I moved on to using my iPhone, which works pretty good, except for it doesn't have a lot of storage space, and I haven't bought a new phone since then, so that doesn't work a whole lot for me. And then I got the DSLR, my Canon Rebel T3i or whatever it is, which I bought secondhand and works okay. It has a lot of issues, and they don't seem to be fixable. Like, there's a spot in the middle of the screen that I can't get rid of no matter what I do. And then I moved on to the Sony Fd Rx 3000, which I should have, right here. And this is what I shoot my entire channel on right now. And it's a tiny little camera. In fact, this part right here can actually be completely removed, but it's a lens protector, so we're going to keep it on there. And I like it a lot. In fact, that's not getting replaced, and it has super smooth optical image stabilization. It doesn't really do it digitally, it does it all optically. There's the entire lens is actually on like little springs and stuff, and it works really good. Plus it has the little remote thing that I use so I can actually see what's going on, unlike this camera, at least at the moment, because this camera doesn't even have Wi-Fi built in. But I can't really get too upset about that, because this camera is amazing, because the DJI Osmo Pocket, hereby known as the Osmo Pocket, is tiny, and it's a 3-axis gimbal. It's going to give you the most stable, sweeping, dynamic footage I could ever possibly bring to my channel. This is endgame for me. I could have just gotten, you know, a gimbal for my GoPro, but my GoPro is old. I could try to get a gimbal that would, like, you know, finagle one to work with my Sony, but those gimbals are huge. So I've been struggling with this for a long time. I think Genular knows. I've asked him a lot of questions about a lot of different cameras. And I was just about to get something completely different, and then this thing showed up. And I watched a lot of reviews and a lot of videos on it, and I realized this is exactly what I wanted. So, not only can I put this pretty much everywhere, if I wanted to mount it on the side of my head on a helmet or something, if I wanted to stick it to my chest or something, I could totally do that. But head-mounted footage is pretty good, but then you get this weird, like, oh, the camera's really far up from your hand when you're shooting and stuff, and it doesn't really look the way I want it to. And I'm honestly not a fan of the GoPro's form factor or the fisheye lens effect, which is really hard to get rid of, even like the narrowest field of view. Everything kind of curves a little bit. And that's one thing I like about my Sony. It doesn't really do that, even though you can give it a super wide field of view and get that kind of effect. You can also put it like really narrow, and it's good enough that I use it for the entirety of my channel. This doesn't do that at all. This has autofocus, which no other freaking camera, like GoPro, whatever I've seen, does that, which is awesome. It's not going to be all that useful in a war when I have the blaster and, you know, the people that I'm shooting at, they have to all be in focus, so yeah. But the other thing this does, you've probably noticed, is that it automatically has face tracking. And it has a little screen on it so I can see myself in the viewfinder and whatnot, but it does one better. It actually has object tracking. And when I saw that and I sat there and thought about it, and I've seen a lot of videos on it, it works pretty okay. It's not perfect yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be a matter of time until somebody figures out something, or DJI figures out something that will make this really freaking reliable when it comes to that object tracking. And honestly, it works really good already, but that led me to believe, like, could I possibly have this? Because I really much want a camera somewhere around here. So it's kind of like arms, like a first-person shooter kind of length. And then also have it be able to track the blaster, so when I move my arm and stuff, you can see that. Because like right now you're staring at me, but if I look over here and I point a blaster at someone that I'm shooting, you can't see that. And that's kind of the main problem with the whole chest rig kind of idea. So I should probably note that this kind of thing is going to get a lot better once you plug your phone into the device, which I can do, but it's hard to do with, I have one hand on this and one hand on the camera. Actually, if I had a tripod mount, I could totally use that, but it doesn't actually have a tripod mount yet. But I can actually kind of give you an example of what's going on, because the little screen does allow you to do some very basic motion tracking. So if I double tap the back of the blaster here, you can see it's still a little, let's see if I can, oh, I can't actually change, well, maybe I can. Yeah, so you can kind of see it's not actually tracking onto a good portion of the blaster. It does okay. But you can see, like, oh, I'm gonna tag somebody out over here, move over here, shoot over here, move over here. And if I start walking around, like you can see, it's super cool. Like, it's trying, but yeah, it's not perfect. Maybe I can get, if I could just nudge it up a little bit, but it doesn't seem to allow me to do that while I'm already using the feature. And that's kind of the issue. I put it down, it's like staring completely down. And if it's out of focus, if it's out of tracking for too long, it's not gonna work. Let me try. I could probably find an object like a koosh ball that this thing could track no problem. Not that I've been able to do that yet. I haven't, I might, it'll look pretty goofy because I'll have like a koosh ball in the center of the frame, but if I could just get that a little bit farther up, like it doesn't, like right now it really does not want, see that's perfect. Yeah. And then again, if I'm walking around and stuff, there we go. See, this is what I'm talking about right here. Oh, it's trying. Well, nope, it lost it. But, there we go. Oh, there we go. There we go. See, the only problem is when it goes lower. But no, that's... Ooh. Huh. That's getting pretty close to what I want. And then put it back up and it captures it immediately. That's what I'm talking about. There we go. It just captured the box. You get the idea. I'll get better at working with this thing and I'll be able to do some really interesting stuff, but I wanted to ask you as like a content creator, if you happen to be watching this, or just somebody who consumes the content, as in you wanted NERF War Footage, because I get to ask this question a lot, and honestly, I've never been happy with NERF War Footage, but I really do feel like this is something that could definitely change the game. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. Come on, you're face tracking my shirt now. There we go. It's not going to be perfect, and if that kind of thing happens like during a game and stuff like that, that could get really annoying. So I have to find a pretty foolproof scenario for this. The worst case scenario, I think, is that I'll have to figure out something like somebody will have to operate the camera remotely. I'll have to get the Wi-Fi dongle, but somebody else can operate the camera remotely to make sure that it's, in shots, and then I can get like a super cut of everything interesting that happens. Because from the phone, it's really easy. Like the larger the object is to track, because you draw like an object around it, the easier it is for the camera to track. Like if I have this thing attached to my monitor inside, it works perfectly. Out here on a tiny little screen on the back of the blaster, it's not really good, but if I can get the entire blaster, I feel like it would work better, but that's a little bit beyond my capability for this video, but let me know. Otherwise, this is Walcom S7, thank you very much for watching this video, and of course, I hope to see you in an entirely different one.
You gotta